Anyone who has been keeping tabs on my channel recently may have noticed the recent amount of attention I got from my Psychicpebbles video. And as thankful as I am for the support I got, I can't help but feel as though that video was lacking a lot of much needed substance. Don't get me wrong, I still don't think the video is bad by any means, but I'd be lying if I said it was the best I could have done on the topic. Most of the video was me praising Mr. Hater on his work, but not really adding anything aside from the surface level. Which is a bit of a waste, seeing as Zach is symptomatic of one of the greatest strengths the internet possesses that more contemporary and heavily produced mediums don't have. I titled the video with the subheading, Creator-Driven Madness, and that was because I was intending to talk about Zach's dedication to creative vision and expression.
All these shows that have stood the test of time, every single one of them, have been animator and artist driven. In other words, it's made by an artist and animator, and there's a centralized vision. Whenever that's given a chance, it almost always does well. And when it fails, it at least fails with a vision.
A big belief I hold on art that I will always subscribe to is the idea that prioritizing creativity, personality, and delivering an artist's intent will always make for better and more worthwhile art and media, whether for better or for worse. However, given the recent boom of entertainment media, you see a lot of that expression be muddied and diluted in a process of distillation known as industry interference. Film, TV, games, comics, and any other form of expressive and profitable art are all victims of this, which is obviously a generalization and a rose-tinted overview of a complicated subject, which I've drenched in simplistic cynicism. So I should probably clarify this point so I don't look like a hypocrite for praising plenty of studio-backed things. End of the day, entertainment is an industry, and as a distributor or producer, you'd have to be an idiot not to capitalize to maximize profitability. Hell, what I'm doing right now is an example of this. This shit's starting to become an internship for me. I'm attempting to capitalize with this script. I have the potential to make money and an audience who's interested in hearing my perspective on the subject. However, at the same time, I would argue my creativity and my more cynical and realistic view on profitability are not in direct conflict. This is a subject I'm passionate about, and I'd want to make this video one way or the other. And the only person I'm catering to and how I deliver this subject is me, myself, and I. Putting profitability and benefit as an incentive is fine, so long as it doesn't compromise your vision creatively. But this is the conflict modern entertainment industries are struggling to grapple with many producers opting to step in and alter a creator's work and intent to try and appeal to as broad a demographic as possible, which severely impairs artists and budding creatives who want to make a name for themselves, as they have to go through boardrooms upon boardrooms of executives and producers who talk in their Jedi councils about what would draw in the biggest viewership. Using Psychicpebbles as the connective tissue, there was definitely a subtle disparity between his work on the internet and his work on Smiling Friends. Adult Swim is very much a creator-driven network, but they still had to adhere to the bullshit and bureaucracy of standards and practices. The strength that the internet has that film and TV don't is the lack of standards and relative absence of censorship and observation. When the internet was first conceived, it was seen as a veritable Wild West, a lawless frontier where anything goes and where anyone can upload anything, no matter race or creed, poor or rich. That combined with the boom of professional level equipment for the common consumer being easily accessible, and you had a hub for budding creators and visionaries to share and distribute their short films, flash games, and novels without the need for a producer or a publisher. And sure, most people used it to pirate music and look at very specific and questionably legal porn. But the point still stands that the Wild West angle and ease of access allow people in their bedroom to have the power to create, distribute, and gain an audience without any of the bureaucracy and bullshit standards and practices of mainstream media, with sites like Newgrounds being host to these creatives. Hellbenders, Salad Fingers, Eddsworld, Confinement. With the possible exception of Eddsworld, I could never see any of these shows making their way onto mainstream networks with the entire intent of their creators intact. Salad Fingers especially.
Hello.
When making it, David Firth's goal was to capture and distill a feeling of unease and strangeness, spreading that emotion and way of thinking to a vast spread of people, all collectively immersed in the same dark fantasy as its creator. Take that to a studio and they'll say, "No thank you, our audiences don't respond well to this type of art style. It's too bleak, could you add more characters and vibrance?" "Salad Fingers isn't appealing to test audiences. He's gross and gets off to nettles and rusty nails. We can't make a plush toy out of that." Watching Salad Fingers is a surreal experience to say the least. As much of a corny line as it is to say, it feels like I've been sucked out of the real world and into whatever nightmare place Salad Fingers lives in, making your eyeballs explore every nook and cranny of the screen. And David Firth's art isn't the fucking Mona Lisa or anything. It's gross, it's disgusting, and it's off-putting, and always has an element of uncanny valley. Hell, some of his shit just completely throws artistry out the fucking window.
Hello, up? My name is Jerry Jackson. What is happening, guys? This is a cartoon I've made about religion.
This isn't going to be an analysis of salad fingers. There are enough of those, and ultimately it's pointless to this video. The point I'm trying to make here is that the lack of standards and no real oversight from an external third party greatly benefits salad fingers' mood and aesthetic. Firth doesn't give a shit about making salad fingers a franchise for long-term stability and growth. He's interested in telling a story which will draw in some people and drive away others. So as a result, the show is much more uncompromising in its execution of these ideas than it would be under the supervision of a producer. In fact, that goes for a lot of things. People who make shit for the internet are way more used to taking chances and breaking the mold. Breaking immersion and talking about myself personally for a second, I hate school. I think it takes genuine passion and creativity and forces you to be broken down and churned into a perfect little cube of compliance and conformity, stifling creativity and personal expression in favor of meeting a checklist or criteria for what is required to get you a passing grade. You're conditioned to stick to something and stay within a figurative bubble of being creative, but not too creative to where a stuffy old white guy might not give you a favourable grade. People who grow in the industry and forge their path without the limitations of school say, fuck the bullshit, I'm gonna do what I want. Using each new project as an opportunity to experiment and vary their use or skill in a specific field. Confinement by Lord Bung is one big experiment from its creator. The show uses the SCP Wiki as a foundation to propel an otherwise unrelated story about somebody trying to overcome feelings of depression, whilst also using it as an opportunity to improve upon technical skills. By Bung's own admission, the first episode of Confinement was made to test lip syncing, featuring two characters in one setting simply talking to one another. And as the show progressed, so did Bung's ambition and want to experiment with both animation and narrative. But it's a rare kind of experimentation you won't see in a full-length series. Though neither a benefit or a downside, the format new episodes of Confinement have been releasing at has certainly served the show well in gaining more of an identity and a footing. Why a downside, you ask? Well, whilst given the benefit of experimentation and gaining more creative grounding, it ain't great for distribution or getting something out when you'd like it to be out. Bear in mind, like I said at the beginning of this video, most of these fuckers are people jerking off in their bedrooms on a drawing tablet or an animation table, rarely working with a team or a crew, instead doing things by themselves. As an example, Chris O'Neill from OneyNG took on and did multiple things for his cartoons that many in the industry leave up to specific experts in that field. Animation, music, voice acting, sound mixing, editing, special effects work, and backgrounds. I touched on it in the Psychicpebbles video, but I genuinely believe that the type of people who are able to balance various specialties and skill sets are the type to innovate and create new and interesting things. And look, he's even making a game now. Neat. But what about the people on the other end of the spectrum? The kind who have a centralized vision behind something but utilize a team to do so. Okay, I'm digging this. It's an obvious segue, but it works. Don't worry, Will, you're not a hack. You're just a mofo talking about Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss. One exists as a pilot with the intent of being picked up for a full-length show, and the other are currently still running monthly web series. The creator of both shows has a vested interest in having the shows air on more mainstream networks, but both Helluva and Hazbin were completely independently produced, leaving complete creative control to Vivzie and her team. In this way, you can see plenty of trademarks of internet animation present in their presentation and writing. Which, say what you want about it, by the way. You can say that swear words are overused and it's desperate to be considered adult animation, or that its attempts at drama or serious moments don't hit as well as intended, you know, all points that I'm certainly not making. But despite all that, you cannot deny that the show contains a clear and consistent voice, a personality, a creative flair, whatever other pretentious buzzwords you can come up with unique character designs and story beats that would rarely be as explicit as they can be on the internet. Hazbin and Helluva don't quite have that made in a bedroom feel that I've been trying to emphasize throughout this video, which ironically enough a lot of Vivzie's other work possesses in spades, but it does have that guerrilla and rebellious style that is so typical of shit coming out of the internet. Whether or not I've succeeded in trying to nail down the incredibly broad topic of internet animation as well as an explanation as to why it works is something I'll only know when this video releases. But in case I don't succeed, here's my writing safety net in the form of a conclusion. The strength and success of online independent animation is found in its inherent link to creativity and personality. While something not unique to YouTube animation or just the internet in general, it is certainly something that more mainstream media needs to capitalize more on. Let your creatives take chances, let them be unique, let them be weird, let them be alienating. And if they fail, well, at least they failed with a vision. If any of you are at all interested in checking out any of the stuff I've mentioned or shown shown off in this video, then I recommend checking it all out and throwing a bone to the people that made it. And speaking of being thrown a bone, thank you to everyone who's been subscribing as of recently. Just a month ago I was at 100, and now at the time of writing I'm nearly at 700. So thank you once again to all the people who have been subscribing and giving me the time of day. Whether you've come from the Psychicpebbles video or the Dr. Skipper collab, I greatly appreciate the support. If you're interested in me or this topic, then please subscribe and comment your thoughts and input, good or bad. I love all forms of feedback and it's great to get engagement. The goal is to hit 1k soon, so spread this video around to anyone who you think would be interested. Final plug, but if you want to continue to engage with me, then leave me a follow on Twitter for video updates and so on, or visit my Discord server. It's kind of bare bones right now, but hopefully it will build with more people joining. So yeah, thanks for your time and stick around for other stuff in the pipeline.